Paintball nerd. Today's guest on Paintball Nerd started playing paintball in 2012. She started competing in 2017. In 2018, she joined Destiny, and she's got a new team for 2024. It's the Cheetahs. She's the WNXL correspondent for the Coaches Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Hailey Leyva.
Hi.
Hi, Hailey. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, honored to have you.
Thank you.
So, how did you start playing paintball?
So it goes back quite a while. Whenever I was around 10 years old, my dad and brother who've been in the sport for as long as I can remember, they had been playing paintball. So they wanted me to try it. And me being this little 9-year-old girl, I wasn't really looking forward to that. I was not, I've watched them play before many times, did not seem like my thing. And so my dad put me in all of the gear, gave me I'm pretty sure it was an axe, and sent me on my way. But the bad part about that was I was playing against my brother, and who's older than me. And so he comes and bunkers me while I'm standing there with my gun down, of all things. And so after that, I was like, nope, this isn't my thing. I cried. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. But along the way through all of that, my dad, my brother were still into it. And they would take me to PSP events and NXLs and all of that whenever that got started. So I was still around it, but I was not one bit interested at all. I was at these events. I would say I was bored the whole time. I would take pictures with the pros and everything, had no idea who I was standing next to. I go back and look at him now and I'm with Ollie and I'm like, what? I was so little. But since that, I had wanted nothing to do with it. But then I was a gymnast for a very long time competing, and I stress fractured my back. And that was kind of a career ending injury. And so whenever that happened, my dad, I approached him and I was like, hey dad, can I play paintball? And he couldn't believe what he was hearing. He's like, are you for real? You want to play paintball? And so he took me to the field literally 7 years ago to almost the day. And I literally haven't looked back since. I have not missed a year, missed any big events since then, which is crazy to think. 7 years is kind of a long time.
Yeah.
Makes me feel a little old, even though I'm not old.
No.
But then I hear about these other people. They're like, oh, I've done paintball for 50 years or whatever. Okay, so it's not that much. But yeah, it was a long time coming, but I'm really happy with where I am now.
How'd you fracture your back? How'd that happen?
So it was a stress fracture. So it kind of just happened over time, which I was training a lot and it just kept hurting. And my coaches were like, no, it's just growing pains. You're fine. And so I just kept going. And then one day it got really bad. And so then I went to the sports medicine doctor. He's like, yeah, you have a stress fracture in your lower spine. And I did physical therapy for it, but it was kind of just with the way my anatomy was and what I was doing, they said it could happen again. And it was not a good process. I was in a back brace for 3 months, 24/7. And I was like, yeah, no, this isn't for me, which the timing of it kind of worked because I was in gymnastics, but I was also in band, and I couldn't do band in high school if I was doing gymnastics. So the timing of it worked out. I did marching band in high school also while doing paintball, which the schedules worked out pretty well for that too.
So what made you go to your dad and decide to play paintball? You didn't have a good time. You could have taken a fishing or whatever,
Yeah.
Why paintball?
Honestly, I don't even know what my thought process was on that. I think it was because I knew it was something that he was heavily into, and him and my brother, they had all the gear, they knew all the right people. I don't even know what. I think it was just because I knew he was into it. And so my mom was always the one who did the gymnastics stuff with me, but I hadn't really done anything with my dad like that. And so I guess I was like, oh, let me go spend time with dad. And I think it just went from there. I honestly don't know exactly. I'm trying to think back to that day. What really was I thinking? But I had been maybe one other time in between because in middle school, our band trips were to the local paintball field for our team bonding thing. And so I went there, and I think I also thought to myself, I don't want to look like these little kids in their rental gear and all that with, all of them. I want to look cooler, like how my dad had been doing for all these years. So I was like, no, I guess it's time. And that first day I went out, one thing that really made the difference was there was one other girl there who she doesn't play as much anymore. Her name was Jade. And I think her being there helped me a lot because I don't know any of these guys and they're all older and they smell and everything, I wasn't looking like I was like, "No, I wouldn't have just gone out there if there's those people who I didn't know." But Jade was so nice and she knew what she was doing. She'd been playing for a few years and her boyfriend also played. And so her taking me out there and those points, I think was what gave me that first boost of confidence to go out there. And then from then, we started playing that season together too, and I ended up playing a three-man event with her also. And
Mm.
so her being there was like a big step for me in that direction. Because if she wasn't there, I don't know if I would have even gone out on the field at
Yeah,
all.
I don't like, maybe you would have just, like, done it to spend time with your dad and your brother, but who
Yeah.
knows if you would have got into it to the point of competing, right?
Yeah, it was a huge thing for me was having her there.
So, what do you love about the sport now that you've been into it for 7 years?
It's crazy, like, I feel like my whole life revolves around paintball, which I'm also in school, so my life also revolves around school. But, like, I would say 90% of my friends, maybe even 95 if we're gonna push it, are from paintball. Like, people who I know, like and I go to school and I just go to class and I leave. I don't really talk to people there. So all of my friends are connected through paintball somehow in some one way or another. Met them like a friend of a friend or whatever it may be. Like, the only other friends I have are like roommates and stuff. And it's
Mm,
really cool because it's a connection on a different level. Like the people who I'm close to in paintball, some of them are closer than actual family members that I have. Just because you see them and you have like the paintball to bond over, and
yeah.
the connection just goes beyond the field. It's people who sincerely like love you and care about you. And yeah, like I said, closer than some family members that I even see to an extent. And I mean, that's truly like the best part of it, the relationships I've made throughout the whole 7 years I've been around it. Even before then, people who my dad introduced me to that I didn't even know that I met a long time ago. And then whenever I started playing, they're like, "Oh yeah, like I know you because of your dad." And I was like, "Really? I don't know who you are." But not having the connection for so long, it's just so amazing.
How'd you get connected with the coaches show?
So, one of well, there's like kind of a side story to this, but a long time ago, a group of me and other friends that were my age, we made a team called AC Kids, and it was part of the AC camp with when AC Dallas was pro at the time, and then AC Diesel I think was still semi-pro. And so in that group of friends, I had a friend who I was more close to, and his name was Renee. And he played on Austin Notorious at the time. He actually just got picked up by Diesel, but he knew Ryan because Ryan was his coach, Ryan Gray. And
Mm.
so I got introduced to Ryan, and Ryan, he seems scary sometimes, and he can be, but he's a really nice person, I promise. And so I met him through my friend Renee. And since then, we kind of always, we'd see each other at events and talk and everything. And then I've just kind of known him through that, being friends. And then whenever they started the coaches show, they needed somebody to do the WNXL stuff. And so I think because he knew I kind of know a lot of people, a lot of the other girls just from playing with the girls before the WNXL started. We're all kind of close together because we were the only ones at first. I think because of that, he knew, oh, I knew these people, and it would be, I guess some people, I don't know how to word it, but some people know me, and so they're like, oh yeah, if anything happens, they can come to me and tell me, oh, this person went here, or any player moves that happen, things like that. But he said he thought I was a good fit for it, which I think there's a lot of people who would have also been a great fit. So I was very honored that they chose me out of all people to be the WNXL correspondent. But it was very cool that because of one of my close friends that I made a long time ago, and just like I said earlier, friends of friends, meeting them, making those like very good connections, like turned out this way, and now I have that role, which is awesome.
Well, the team that you started competing with, Destiny, is a
Mhm.
legendary female organization.
Mhm.
It's like, I think about, up until recently, when I thought of women's paintball, I thought about Destiny
Mhm.
and Femmes.
Mhm.
Like, those were the camps that were, like, predominant for women's paintball. Now there's obviously a lot more. You got the Cheetahs and
Mhm.
the Heroines and the Northern Lights and, and, Dracaina, and there's a bunch of them.
Mhm.
But what was it like, playing under the camp of B Paxson?
Oh my gosh, there's not enough words to describe like the everything I've gained from playing with Destiny. And like my first World Cup in 2018 was with Destiny. And we played D5 5-man and it all came about. And I knew of B, and my dad actually had got me one of her jerseys whenever I started playing. And I learned about her just from watching like YouTube videos and seeing things online. And I was like, wow, like she's so cool. And so before that first World Cup, my dad told me, he's like, you should get with B and see if we can get a 10-man women's team together. That would be really cool. And there's a lot of girls in Texas. So I messaged her about that. And this was probably way earlier in the year. And he was like, you should see what we can do with this. And so I messaged her and she's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Like, I'll get back with you. And one thing about B is like, she has, because of all of the divisional and regional lines she has, you've got to like kind of keep on her about it, because there's this
She's
team
busy.
asking, oh, very busy. This team asking, and this team, and this team, and this team. And so you gotta get her attention. And so again, I messaged her about it, and she was like, well, I don't think we can do 10-man, but you can play on this D5 5-man team with other girls. And I had never, well, I played a 3-man all girls, but I hadn't played in any other 5-man all girls teams. So that happened in 2018. And we tried to keep that specific group together, but it was kind of hard, people just doing other things. But
Yeah.
like that really started so much because I never thought I would be playing under the big name that was Destiny, and getting to keep playing with them. Like, I believe the following year, yeah, it had to be 2019. We played Vegas, which was super cool because I had never played paintball in Vegas before. And it was like we went to go to practice at this other field because B knows so many people go practice at this other field. And she's like, oh, well, I've known this guy forever and these people forever. And that's who you're going to be playing with, and people who are coaching us and things like that. So we played D4 that next year. We played Vegas, Texas, and then World Cup. And all of the everything that has come from Destiny, including the connections, all of the I feel like I'm part of B's family now. Even I go in the summertime and visit her in Montana, which is beautiful and a whole experience in itself. But I mean, that's all just from what happened back in 2018, me messaging her, and things just kind of went from there, which is I'm so thankful for it every day, because Destiny also is like, so many people know that name. So whenever you play with them, you're getting noticed by so many more people, which is I didn't think all of that was going to happen. And honestly, don't think I would be sitting where I am today if it wasn't for things that happened back then and the success of the team. Us being all girls, obviously more eyes would be on us at that time because there was no WNXL. And also, like, really cool things I got to do even last year was like I did a commercial with Planet Eclipse for the 180R that came out last year. And that was all through Destiny, which I thought was so cool because like that's such a cool opportunity to be able to. I never thought I would be in a commercial for a gun, like playing at the TV and the PE booth. Like that was so awesome and like a dream come true. Seeing that at World Cup, and then my mom going in there and like taking the video with her phone, watching it on the TV, that was so cool. But none of that would have happened if it wasn't for Destiny getting me that, just the start of everything. It's so amazing. I'm so thankful for like forever for B and Mike and their whole family.
Yeah, B has impacted a lot of players, and you know, it's amazing, Hailey, is a lot of people have the same story that you do about her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she gave me a shot, and you know, I have a great opportunity, and I met all these people.
Mm-hmm.
So, is the only reason that you don't play for Destiny anymore is because they're out of the WNXL?
Yeah, for sure. I was always saying before that, I was telling B, I was like, you don't have to worry about me going anywhere else because you know you have my loyalty for, like I said, everything she's done for me. She has my loyalty, and because there wouldn't be a WNXL or Destiny in WNXL anymore, I was just like kind of lost for a little bit. I was like, dang, like I don't know what to do because it's gonna be weird not playing for Destiny, and also the girls who I played with on that team been playing with for the last like 4 years. And so us being spread out, and I didn't know what to do. Like right after Cup, I also had finals. And so I was like, let me get through my finals and then I'll decide what I'll do. And I went to the Cheetahs tryout, and it was such a good time and a really good experience. And I think it put me out of my comfort zone, which was with Destiny. But yeah, if Destiny was still in the WNXL, I probably would have stayed. But who knows? Because I always say everything happens for a reason. That's like
True.
my life motto. I have it tattooed on my arm. So it was supposed to happen this way, and things are supposed to be the way they are right now.
Let me
But
see the tattoo.
right here on the back of my arm,
Nice.
it's my favorite one. And I like whenever I got it, I was like, I hope some random person sees it like walking down the street, and they're just like, oh yeah, it does happen for a reason.
Like, I needed to read that today. It just
Exactly.
happened to be on this
Yeah.
girl's arm.
Yeah, exactly.
What's a memory that really stands out for you in paintball?
Oh man, there's so many. It's hard to pick just one. One that I can think of pretty recent, well, I guess about a year ago now, was whenever we won Florida last year, Destiny in the WNXL Pro Division. That was such an unforgettable experience because the previous year we got second at every event, and making it to the finals field and doing all of that and not winning 3 times is so hard. And because you're like right there and you're like we're doing everything right, we're just missing something. And so that first event, whenever we won, like it was such a different, like I've never had a feeling like that before. And my dad was there. My mom couldn't make it to the event, so she was upset that she wasn't there. But my dad was literally standing like right outside the net, and I just came off and like gave him the biggest hug. And it's even on video too, and it's like the cutest little moment. And I'm just like, oh, like he's the reason why I started playing paintball in the first place. And for him to be there and experience it, and we're both like crying, and I'm like, I've never also happy cried in my life. I don't really cry
Really?
that, yeah, like I don't think I ever have, never. But that day I did. And that was just such a cool experience too. Also being with Destiny, like as I said, started with in 2018 to be able to win in the WNXL Pro Division was such a big deal. And I mean, all of us were so proud, and we all put in the work for that tournament too. Like we knew the layout like the back of our hand. We studied it as we should have. We practiced really well together. Like we did everything right, and it felt good to win that because we knew everything we put into it had the outcome that we wanted it to. It was just it was super cool. Like that's something I'll never forget. I even have like a picture framed of me and my dad hugging then too. It's such a core memory now.
That's awesome. So your dad is like, he must be a proud papa. Like he loves paintball. You eventually got into it and you won a national event.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he's
no, he's super proud. And it's funny too because my brother played a long time ago. And then whenever he went to college, he stopped playing. And then now he's out of college and working. And now he's starting to play again too. So now all of us are playing. I think he really enjoys that.
I love that. I mean, I say that it's probably your dad's dream because for me, that's my dream. Like to have my kid love paintball and play paintball because I love it. It's
Mhm.
like, what more could you ask for than have your children share in your passion?
Yeah, it feels like I'm so stuck in this sport now. Like whenever I'm older someday and I get married and have kids, like they're gonna have to be around paintball. Like what else are they gonna do? Like I'm just like I don't see how I could ever like quote unquote retire or leave or whatever. Like I'm still always gonna be around it no matter what.
Well, it's a good place to be.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
agree. It always is. One way or another, it's always so much fun. Just being there like at an event, not even playing, even though I would normally wish I was playing. Even just being there is so fun seeing everybody.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Like
Mhm,
because I go to a lot of events and I'm
mhm,
not playing a lot of them. I'm working, if you can call it work. But it's just great to see all my friends. Like
mhm.
all of my friends play paintball or played paintball at one point. So it's like those are my people. When I
Yeah,
go to those are my people.
yeah, I
Who did
totally
you
agree.
who'd you look up to playing like growing up, like coming up through the ranks?
This is really hard because there's so many people that I can think of coming to my mind. So whenever I first started playing, my one of the like well actually the first day I was ever at that field, the day that I went out with the other girl who was there, um, Devin Stewart and Nico Hyde were also there. And at the time they both played for Houston Heat. And so that they were at I live in Houston, and so they were at the local field. And I was like, wow, like these are the pro players. Which as I
Mm.
said before, I had met some of them at the other events and I had no idea who the people were. But then whenever I started playing, like them two also giving me a lot of guidance just in that first day was huge too, because I was like, well, these guys know what they're talking about and they're taking time out of their day to come and help me. And along with that too, John and Fuzzy Jackson, both of them, they were with the AC Dallas at the time. And that whole line, all of the people who were on that original team, like Brad McCurley and I can't remember who else was on the original team, but they were Ryan Hall. They were all so much help to me because, and John and Fuzz lived in Houston, so anywhere locally they were helping out. And then if we'd go to an event, they were all super open to helping me and like giving me feedback. Or my dad would always say that I had a little red dot on my head blinking whenever I was watching their conversations and just listening to like them breaking down the field or them talking about whatever. And that was so helpful to me because there's things that I remember them telling me back whenever I first started that I still remember and still apply to the way that I play today. Other people like that too would be like Archie. He also, being from Texas, I would go up and practice at X Factor, and he would always take time out to stop and help like correct me on certain things or be like, oh, you need to do it this way, not this way. And those really impacted me a lot whenever I was younger, coming up in the sport too, because I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, and my dad was helping me to an extent, but these are pro players taking time out from whatever they're doing to help me. And like I said, that lasts on me forever. And now me also being in a position of where I'm playing in the WNXL Pro, I will never not stop to help somebody if they need help, like, or if they're asking questions or feedback or whatever, like always super open to that because I know how that made me feel whenever I was coming up also. And also people like Mike Paxton coaching me. I mean, that's like the best people ever.
Yeah, and you're paying it forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
It's rare though to get the type of guidance that you've received in paintball. It's like some people would pay a lot of money for that opportunity, and it just happened to be that you're in the right place in the right time, and it happened for you.
Yeah, I'm so thankful that like you said, I've been in the right place at the right time and ended up, knowing these people, befriending them, and it's been super helpful to me and to my paintball knowledge. Everything, my paintball IQ has grown from knowing these people for sure.
Okay, so tough question here.
Okay.
Who do you think is the best player in the WNXL?
Oh, that's really hard to narrow it down to one. Oh man.
I'll tell you mine, but I want to hear yours first.
Okay. Dang it. Oh, I'm like friends with a lot of these people. I don't want them to be like, oh, you didn't say me. I would definitely.
You can't think about that. You
I know. Okay. You're right. You're right.
Best.
I would definitely say it would be a former teammate of mine from Destiny. I've narrowed it down to one of the Blanco sisters.
They're good.
They're evenly really good. I guess I would have to say Carrie, the one who plays on the snake side, because I was always playing on that side with her, and I'd be in the back shooting my like 8 pods, and I'd just see her going to work. So I guess I would have to say Carrie. There's so many other people who come to mind, like so many people, but I would have to say Carrie. She's really small, fast, aggressive. She has all the pieces put together. She plays D2 also.
So I do agree that both the Blanco sisters are great. I'll tell you, I think that the best player though in the WNXL is Jen Folk.
She came to mind whenever you asked me that question, and I was trying to narrow it down in my head. She certainly is one of the best. I can totally agree with that. She plays such a high level, and she's unstoppable most of the time. It's like playing against her, I'm like, man, like we gotta shoot her off the break or something. She's hard to play against.
Yeah, and she's like she has pretty aggressive movements. Like so the thing about my answer is like I don't have stats, right? Like statistically, I don't know how good Jen is, right? I just know that when I watch her, I feel something like, wow, like she's doing it. She makes me feel something when I watch. So that goes into a lot of my answer. Like same thing with like my favorite player of all time is Ryan Greenspan. And statistically, I don't know like how often he lives off the break or any of that stuff, but I just know that when I watch him, I'm like, oh, I can feel things.
Yeah, so. I completely agree. And that feeling is something I was actually thinking about earlier today, daydreaming in class while I was probably supposed to be paying attention. Something I thought about earlier that I've really noticed, especially with playing whenever I went to the Cheetahs practice and seeing all of those new people playing as well is something I commonly saw before or heard before was like playing like a girl, which is not bad at all. But what I'm noticing, and I don't know if it's just the fact of the WNXL Pro Division being there, or if it has something to do with more of us playing in lower divisions, but you don't see like them being slower or running different or gunfighting a certain way. I feel like everyone looks the same because before, even with myself, you could look at me and tell a difference in the way that I played compared to some D3, D2 guy who has a lot of experience, which obviously you're not going to look exactly the same. But what I'm noticing is like the girls look so much better than I have seen before. Like the playing field is pretty level here. Like I would say with the top 4 WNXL teams, the skill level is definitely like D3, D2 level for sure. And it's so cool to see because before you'd be like, oh yeah, that's definitely a girl. But like now the snap shooting is better. Some of the girls are like even faster. I mean, than the guys, not me. I'm kind of slow. But like people are so fast, good at diving, good at sliding. Daniela is a really good person to point out for that because she practices and does all the drills and everything at home. But it's such a big difference now. Like the girls look so good. And it's so cool to see that the level of just like the average level of your female paintball player is rising now, which is so cool to me.
It's just gonna keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna keep going, you know, especially with the WNXL being a thing now. It's like the bar is gonna keep raising and raising and raising.
Yeah, and it definitely is. It definitely is.
Any cool gear you want to show us?
So I'm actually very happy that I remembered that I had this year, my Stitch gun, which I feel like it was such a big deal when this came out in 2020 was whenever I got it. And Ryan Hall at Arc Anodizing did the ano on it.
Of course he did.
Yeah, of course. And he also did my LV2 that I have, which I don't have here, but that one came out really good too. But just the colors and the way everything came out on this was just insane. And I don't really think there was anything else like it at the time. And I'm not like from Hawaii or nothing. No ties to there. But my I had a headband, which I don't have here. That it was my very first headband that I got at my first tournament, and it had Stitch on it. And so whenever we sent this gun off to get anode, my dad was like, oh, you should do Stitch, because I couldn't think of what to get. And I was like, wait, that's a good idea, and it'll be cute. And whenever I sent it to Anno, I was like, hey, you don't have to do anything super crazy, like maybe just the outline of Stitch or whatever. And then I get this back, and I could not believe it. It was like the best, like the little mountains and the trees, and then the purple in his ears and his tongue. It's just unbelievable.
You know what? You kind of look like, so the main character in Lilo and Stitch, is that Lilo?
Mm-hmm.
You look like Lilo's big sister.
Oh my God, Nani.
You look like Nani.
Oh my God. I'll be Nani for Halloween this year.
You heard that?
People have said things like that before, I'm pretty sure. Like they would say, they would be like, you don't look like Lilo, but you kind of look more like Nani. I was like, okay.
Yeah, you do. It's fun.
Wow. It goes perfect with the theme. I fit the theme of it.
Yeah.
He entered the barrel too, which looks pretty cool. It matches.
Oh, it got hibiscus flowers all over it. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's so pretty. And all the pictures of it that I got, they always come out so good. And this gun, it has a lot of shots on it now. My dad's like, you should hang it on the wall and retire it. I don't want to retire it. It shoots so good.
Yeah, no reason to retire. It still works.
Exactly. I'm like a if it's not broke, don't fix it type of person. And my dad likes to buy new things. And so he's like, oh no, just get this new one. I'm like, no, this one works good.
What other cool stuff you got?
I have this headband, which is really cool. It's a purple headband, which it was purple for Destiny because purple and blue were the colors. And it's made by Loyal Gear Co. It's actually a signature series headband of my own. And they reached out, like, I believe it was 22, the first year of the WNXL, and they wanted to do a signature series headband with me, which I thought was really cool because I've never had a signature series anything. And I thought it was awesome that they wanted to do that. and we did a couple of videos for ads and took some photos for it too, and it's super cool. And I wear it sometimes, but I probably need to put it up on the wall now just to be like, oh yeah, this is my signature series headband, which I don't know if they're still making them. This was a couple years ago now, but
If they
it
aren't, you should
really cool.
definitely frame it. Like,
Yeah,
how many people have a signature series anything?
yeah, that's true. Just like the really cool people.
Yeah, yeah, like you.
Yeah, I guess I could put myself in there now.
What does it take, Hailey? What advice would you give to a young girl who wants to be you someday?
I would say, which, being friendly is like a huge part of it. And I guess I can thank my parents for raising me to be friendly, but just being nice and being open to constructive criticism, and also making all the connections that you can, meeting all the new people. Like, it's it's just, I used to be very shy, like super
Mm.
shy. And then whenever I started getting into paintball, I started meeting new people, and those new people will lead you to new places and new opportunities. And like, you won't get the opportunities if you stay to yourself and are shy. So just really take advantage of all the opportunities. Play with more girls for sure, because I mean, it's just growing and the level is getting higher. So you don't always have to go find like this dude at your field who looks like he knows how to snap shoot. Like, there's girls who can do the same exact thing, and also all of the girls being together is something that we're not seeing a lot right now. So now we're trying to push to have all the girls together playing on teams, but just being super confident, not shy, taking all of the advice, all the opportunities, I feel like is just the biggest thing. Not Don't say no. Like, just say yes to, oh, do you want to come do this podcast, or do you want to be in this video, or do you want to do this, these photos with this gun or whatever. Like, just always say yes, because it'll lead you to even better places for sure.
How do you think we can get more girls to start playing the game? Like, how do we get them to start?
I would say like it is intimidating, and so the girls who are, it's kind of like getting over that that first hump of going to play for the first time. I feel like that's the biggest thing, because they either hate it or they love it.
Yeah.
And also having family in it helps for sure. Being around the sport for a long time helps a lot. But if you don't have that and you're just some girl, you have to have a really positive first experience with it. So I think making the first time that somebody goes out like as fun as possible and a great experience is the biggest thing. So like for me, if I was trying to get a friend of mine who doesn't play into it, I would try to make sure that she has the best time that she possibly could and leave a good impression. And then from there, it's kind of up to them. But I feel like giving the girls a lot of the resources now, which we had or we have in the WNXL, which is sponsors and things like that, that kind of helps to be like, oh look, there's other girls who do this and they get these things to play, and it's not so scary, and you're not playing against other guys if that intimidates you. I think it's just the first positive experience is your biggest thing, and which is kind of something I help with the University of Houston Paintball Club, and we're trying to get more females. And so that's a thing too, is introducing them with maybe jelly ball or 50 cal, something that's not as intimidating, and kind of working it up from there. And I feel like that should, produce a lot more female attendance for sure.
Yeah, I would like to see like women's days at paintball fields, like catered
Hmm.
specifically to women, because even though it kind of levels out after a certain point, the first time that you play, you know, just men and women are different type
Hmm.
of competitors. Like, men tend to yell at each other, right? They
Hmm.
tend to cuss at each other. They tend to get a little bit violent. Maybe not physically, but it can be a harsh environment
Hmm.
for a woman, right? Like, I just think about my wife going out to play paintball. I don't want some dude telling her to get the fuck out, you
Hmm.
know? You
Yeah, for
know?
sure.
Like, so I think about that, and I think about like, but would my wife enjoy going out with a bunch of girls and, maybe them cussing at each other? I think it's a little
Mhm.
bit different. It's a different
Right.
feeling, you
Yeah.
know? So I think that could help out a lot if paintball fields found a way to cater to women, maybe, like a week in a month, like Women's Day,
Mhm.
and get more females into the sport. And then, like you said, they can choose after that if they want to, keep going.
Yeah, for sure. And Whenever the first year of the WNXL, we did have a WNXL like women's day at fields all over. It was basically like each pro team's home field, and we had I went to the one that was in Paintball Fit because that's closest to me, and we had a lot of girls come out who hadn't played before, had very little experience, and it was more so like showing them how to like the basic stuff, like, oh, this is how you snap shoot, or we're gonna play a couple of three-man points, or this is how you run and shoot, like kind of giving them a foundation. And
Mm.
I'm pretty sure from that it produced a lot of more girls getting into it and kind of taking it more seriously. And so
Oh, I
I
bet.
think that was a big deal. And we did it in 2022. There wasn't one last year, but I do think it'd be beneficial to do another one of those going forward because it'll kind of bring out the other girls who are scared to even get into the speedball side of it. To it'll encourage them that it's just girls and they have, we all have each other's back and we're just trying to make everyone better and more comfortable.
Hailey, what message do you feel like female paintball players need to hear?
I feel like the message would just be not to be scared, just go for it. Like, coming into the sport, it's intimidating, especially as you said earlier with all the guys. But now that there's more females, we have a community of us now. And so just don't be scared, just go for it. Talk to a girl that you see at your field because now there's more of those. More girls playing at your local field, you're more likely to run into a girl. So don't be afraid to talk to them and ask about their experiences and opportunities that they've experienced just playing just solely from being a female in the sport that's male dominated. You have a lot of opportunities and people want to get more women and shown more so that way we can get more girls to play. So
Yeah.
I would say just not being afraid and just going for it and talking to people and getting all the experiences that you can.
Awesome. What are you most thankful for that paintball has given you?
Community for sure. I've had so many experiences from paintball, traveling, which I mean, I traveled a little bit when I was younger, but traveling a lot within the last couple of years, practices and tournaments and things like that, and the community of people who are now close like family to me, which I mean, I have my best friends are in paintball. I call them if anything happens to talk about any kind of thing. And I wouldn't have had that. I don't know what I would have got into if I hadn't have been paintball. Maybe I would still be in band, but that's a whole different kind of set of people. And it's also the unique set of people that you meet in paintball who do so many different things, like so many different careers. A lot of
Yeah.
things are like the people that you know. And so meeting special people in paintball can also help in other areas of life. And so like you meet all different aspects of people, all different walks of life in paintball. It's not just one specific type of person. And I think that has also like something I'm very thankful for is meeting people who do all kinds of stuff and have all different experiences and things I've never done before, stuff like that. It's just so I'm so thankful for it. Like I don't know where my life would be right now without it.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, yes, we all do, like, a bunch of different things. We have, a lot of us have careers outside of paintball,
Mhm.
but paintball is the thing that brings us all together, right? It's
Yeah.
that instant type of friendship that we can have, that instant
Mhm.
commonality of instant common interest,
Mhm.
So, that's
Yeah.
what I'm thankful for too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I could talk about paintball all day long with anyone in paintball. Trying to talk to somebody outside of paintball about paintball, they just don't quite get it.
No, they don't get it. They're
Yeah.
not paintball nerds.
Yeah, no, they don't understand.
Awesome. Well, Hailey, thank you so much for your time here.
Yes.
Is there anything that you'd like to part with for the paintball community?
I would like to thank, everyone who's gotten me to where I am now. My dad being the first person, my whole family, my mom is very supportive of paintball too. Um, Also, all of my close inner circle of friends who always want to help me with paintball, things like that. Pro Edge Paintball, which is John and Fuzzy Jackson or John Jackson. Um, huge sponsor, huge supporting role. And then also all of my new sponsors with the Cheetahs who are super supportive in the WNXL Pro Division, which would be Empire, which under GI Sports, Powerhouse, which is a big one, CSP, which is Chesapeake Paintball, where we're going to be practicing. Also, Lux being the gun sponsor,
Nice.
Exalt also being one of those. trying to make sure I don't forget any. And then Gen X also for pods. So, I mean, all those people super supportive of our journey in the WNXL.
Awesome. Hailey, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was so nice.